Welcome to Explore Embedded. In this video, we'll go ahead and see the block diagram of the 8051 microcontroller. And later, we will see the architecture in detail. And this will enable us in understanding what 8051 really is and how it works. So, if you have seen the previous video, you know what a CPU is. So let's start with a CPU. So 8051 is an 8-bit microcontroller. So the CPU or the ALU is 8-bit. So this is a 8-bit CPU that we have, and to drive any of the controller or the processor, you need a crystal. So crystal provides frequency to the CPU, which provides stable oscillations so that the CPU can execute instructions. And as we know, instructions make a program, so the crystal or the oscillator circuit is a pretty important function of a microcontroller. So this is basically an oscillator, and this there in the microcontrollers that we get today, the oscillators are of various types. So some of the oscillators are inbuilt, while there are also oscillators which can be connected externally. So in this case, 8051 does not have an inbuilt oscillator, so we'll connect an external crystal. So the frequency of which it depends on the make of the 8051 core. So it's just a simple oscillator that we have in this case. Now since the CPU requires some kind of temporary storage, we have something called as registers. So these are temporary storage units which are again 8 or 16 bit, and they help CPU to uh, keep the data for basic operations. They could be arithmetic or logical operations. So you have a set of registers into the microcontroller. We'll see in detail what these registers are later. So let's say we have some registers to store data. Now in order to coordinate all the activities that the CPU does, we have a control unit. So we usually have a control unit in order to coordinate all the activities of the CPU. Now since we have registers which are temporary storage unit, we require some more amount of temporary storage memory, and that is provided in terms of something called as RAM. So we have inbuilt RAM on an 8051 microcontroller, and we'll see in detail later as to exactly how much RAM we have on a 8051 CPU. Now on the 8051 microcontroller, similarly we also have a flash memory, kind of permanent memory, where we store the entire code or the program. So we have some kind of permanent memory, and most of the controllers these days have flash memory. So it could be in earlier controllers there are other types of memories being used, but it's a standard thing now to have flash memory on the controller. Now this is about the internal units that we have on a controller that are used to process the data, but a controller typically is used to control external environment. So we need input output pins in order to communicate to the external world. So we have something called as IO ports in order to communicate with the external world. So we have input output ports, and 8051 has 4 IO ports. So these are P0 to P3. So there are 4 IO ports that we have on the 8051 microcontroller. Now, apart from this, there is some kind of mechanism to communicate with the computer or other 8051 or any other microcontroller. So we have a UART, or a serial port, integrated on the 8051 microcontroller. So this could in the modern controllers uh, we have support for a lot of different protocols, serial protocols like USB or the SPI, but in 8051 we have the serial port which has transmit and receive pins. So now apart from all this, there is a unit which handles um, interrupts. So these are basically if CPU is doing a particular task and there is an external interference, or there is a request to process an external signal, we have something called as the interrupt controller, which handles all these requests. So this is the interrupt controller. So as a unit which handles this. So interrupts could be either the external interrupts that are coming through the IO pins, or they could be internal software interrupts. So we'll see these in detail in the upcoming tutorials. And apart from all this, you have units which handle time, which are used to measure time internally, or they're even used to count external events. So these are called the counter or the timer unit. So in 8051 we have a timer and a counter inbuilt. So this is a timer and a counter unit, so on the 8051. So there are if it is used as a counter, then the input would be from an external pin. So we'll see this in detail in just a while. So these are basic building blocks of 8051 core, and they are internally connected. So if you just need to show the connections, they are internally connected via a bus. So this is an internal bus which connects all the devices. These arrows do not specify anything, they simply state that the units are interconnected. So in the next tutorial we'll see what these units are individually, and we'll continue from there. Thank you for watching.